UFC 323 is coming up next weekend, and today, guys, I have the full card breakdown with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels, of course. With these videos, we're going to be breaking down each fight as much as we possibly can. We have betting odds for every single fight. I'm excited to talk about this. This card is an absolute banger. I'm sorry for getting these out late. The betting guide will be out tomorrow, so something came up. Long story short, let's get into the video today, guys. Let's start out with the early prelims, and again, timestamps will be there if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. And starting with the first fight over here, guys, we have Naimov taking on Mairon Santos. This is one of many fights on the card that I'm excited for. We'll break down both fighters, and I'll give my prediction for them. We're going to start off with Naimov over here on the left. And Naimov, guys, he is a very well-rounded fighter. He's one of those guys that can pretty well do anything at a relatively high level in the cage. From kickboxing to brawling to countering, he does a really good job in the cage at mixing things up, switching stances, and always kind of like making opponents think about what's coming at them. He's also not afraid to cheat, and this is something that we talk about with Naimov. Eye pokes, fence grabs, nut shots. He's comfortable with all of it, and it really helps him in his decisions sometimes. Now, Naimov, he has been pretty active. He's been having just like fun performance after fun performance. Even in his losses, he usually puts up a fantastic fight. And after that recent loss over to Lima, he's coming into this fight on a 2-fight win streak against Khan Ofli and Bogdan Grad. And as usual, he had fun fights. He had good performances in both of them. Naimov is coming into this fight. He's in his prime. He will have a little bit of a height advantage, and he has some good momentum coming in on his side. I've always thought that he was honestly, guys, a really underrated fighter. But let's talk about Mairon Santos, guys. Mairon Santos, he is a very fluid, crisp, and calm Muay Thai striker. A lot of people often describe his striking style as a sniper, and I think it's a good description. Often shows in the cage. He has really solid counter shots along with crisp jabs, nice low kicks. The only potential negative about Mairon is that he can get sucked into brawls, and while he is a great striker, he's definitely better when he's sitting back and fighting technically. Now, Mairon is a guy that I've been excited to see. I've been watching his journey for quite a while, depending if you follow the channel or not, and since joining the UFC, it's been nice. It's been all wins. He also beat Khan Ofli. He had a close fight against Francis Marshall, which it was a good fight. To be honest with you, I actually scored it against him, but it was close. And most recently, he had a clear win over Sadiq Youssef. He's still young at 25 years old. He has so much time in the world to continue to improve, and he will have a slight reach advantage in this matchup. I am very excited for this fight, guys. Yeah, I can already tell, man, there's going to be quite a few fights on this card. That's going to be very difficult to predict. This is going to be one of them, guys. I would imagine that Mairon Santos is a decent size favorite. I'm going to go with Naimov. I'm going to pick him to win. I like the experience. Again, not afraid to cheat in the octagon. I know the refs have been talking about, or like there's been a big deal made about like all of the refs coming in and having a meeting about the eye pokes. Still doesn't matter. Look at the cards that we just watched. Eye poke away. Ian Gary can get away with it. Everybody can get away with it. And Naimov is probably going to cheat. Mairon Santos can start like sniping him, picking him apart on the feet. Boom. Nut shot. Advantage. Mine. I think it's a very close fight. I think that Naimov, I'm assuming that he's the underdog. Again, if he is the underdog, he is definitely going to be an underdog opportunity. I don't mind a 1.5 for this. I'm curious to take a look at it, but I'm going to give a like 55-45 slight lean to Naimov in this fight. This is a very fun fight to start things off, guys. Let's take a look at OddsJam, and yeah, Mairon Santos is sitting at the average odds of -241. I don't mind at all taking a stab at Naimov, and something that I'm personally going to be taking a look at is Naimov versus Mairon Santos in the over rounds, because I can see two really tough guys here going to decision. If you guys are new to the channel over here, I am a big fan of 1.5 round lines. And by the way, we're going to talk a little bit more about it, but we clean swept the betting last week. Video will be out on that tomorrow. Let's continue on. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card over here to the next fight. Ivo Aslan's back in the octagon, taking on Iwo Baraniewski. And I apologize, guys, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. I always feel bad. It makes me stupid. It makes me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, but we're going to go with Baraniewski. We'll say Ivo versus Iwo. That's what we'll go with, guys. Let's break down Ivo Aslan first, okay? Ivo Aslan, guys, is a fighter who is close with and trains with Alexandre Rakic. And if you guys have been following the channel, you might know that I've always thought that Rakic was incredible and top level. might be changing a little bit, but you get my point. And despite guys' recent performances, okay, in my opinion, he's had more of a chin issue than a skill issue, but again, that's a little bit besides the point. I still think Ibo is training with a really, really solid guy. He's an aggressive striker, he has good power, he has good pressure, and he has great heart in the octagon. He is primarily a boxer, and he can use those brawls in the cage, and if he does, typically, he does pretty well, especially like when things end up getting dirty. Now, everything that I just said was accurate about Ibo historically in his career. He made a switch up, and he ended up going over to train in Dagestan, and there was like a massive deal made about him going over to Dagestan and improving, guys. He's had one fight since, and he looked horrible. He showed up pretty well, a completely different guy, fighting super slow, low volume, did nothing in that octagon. I don't know if he tried to have a more technical approach or like, don't know what the deal was, but so far, he hasn't looked good after that training. The only other thing to note about Ibo though is that he does have a little bit of a worrying gas tank. Now, of course, Ibo's obviously been on a little bit of a skid lately. He got clubbed and subbed against INQ Talaba, but to be fair, those two were swinging. Anything could have happened there. But most recently, we have that horrible performance I spoke about, unfortunately, man. He fought Billy Elkina and just did, absolutely nothing. Still can't explain that performance, but if that guy shows up here, it's going to be a little bit more, even more worrying for him. Prior to those two fights I just talked about, though, it's been pretty well all swinging and all winning for Ibo Aslan. He's in his prime. He will have a height and reach advantage, and hopefully he will have the drive to perform here because, again, I have no explanation on how that, why that last performance went the way that it did. But let's talk about his opponent, Iwo Rudy, over here. He's pretty simple to break down, honestly. He's a well-rounded fighter. He has very good power in the octagon, and he has no problem bringing that power into a brawl into the cage. For his career, unfortunately, there isn't much to say. He got a nice knockout of the Contender Series, but he has fought, other than that, literally zero level of competition prior to that. So we have no idea where he'll be at in the UFC, and the UFC is giving him historically a pretty tough fight for his debut. So it's difficult to say, again, where he'll fit in the UFC. He's going to be entering his prime soon, but that's really all that we can pull from him right now, unfortunately. So for that reason, guys, I have to pick Ibo Aslan to get the job done. I haven't been happy with his performances at all, especially, his recent performance. I don't want to say, you're only as good as your last performance, but do I expect that guy to show up? For that reason, I wouldn't suggest betting on this fight, but man, I have to go with him. He's fought better guys, he's had more experience, he's more, ferocious in the octagon. I need to see more from Iwo, so I'm going to pick Ibo Aslan to get the job done in this bout. Let's take a look at the odds over here. I picked another underdog? Well, are people that crazy off of the Ibo Aslan train? Oh boy. Oh boy, let's see. We got an over 1.5 at plus money over here. Guys, if you expect that same Ibo Aslan to show up, an over 1.5 can certainly happen. If that same Ibo Aslan shows up, I'd be curious of what a fight goes to the distance looks like. I'm going to pick Ibo Aslan to get the job done, though. All right, guys, let's keep going up the card over here. Edson Barboza is back versus Jalin Turner, who is also back. Great fight. Exciting fight. A fight that I didn't really expect to see coming until it ended up getting announced. Both guys in must-win scenarios. Let's break them down. Let's start with Edson Barboza, guys. Edson Barboza, unfortunately, he is a fighter that, he's unfortunate to talk about at this stage in his career. Historically, guy came in, he was one of the greatest pure kickboxers in MMA that we've ever seen. The speed was insane, and literally every shot that he threw was always so dangerous. Nasty leg kicks. Shot so fast that you could prepare to defend them, you could not prepare to defend them. You could prepare all you want, he would land them. Very good power, too. The guy was incredible. Unfortunately, at this point, though, Father Time has caught up to him. He's old in the cage, and it shows, and he hasn't exactly been taking damage too well. There's a very noticeable speed reduction, and we've actually seen him, for once, which we'll talk about, engaging in clinches and takedowns because he doesn't want to be in the feet anymore in his bouts. It's tough. He isn't nearly the same fighter that he used to be, and Edson has also been very inactive in recent years. This fight will be the most active that he's been in a little while. About 3 months ago, he took on Drakkar Klose, and unfortunately, my takeaway to that fight isn't exactly great, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but I just thought that he was finally done, to be honest, guys. For the first time, like I mentioned, we willingly saw him clinch to rest and go for takedowns because he was losing on the feet. Edson Barboza came into the cage. He was slow. He ate a ton of shots, and he looked really old in that cage. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of forget that Edson Barboza is almost 40. With him at his age, with the amount of wars and the battles that he's been a part of, with the time and hours that he's spent in the cage, wars is an understatement to say that too. The guy has had more damage to his body over the years than pretty well just about anybody. I guess it's finally caught up to him. Father Time's undefeated. But anyways, sorry, I got a little bit off track with that. Before, I was talking about the close fight. So before the fight would close, he was off for another significant period of time, and he got destroyed by Lerone Murphy before that. You have to go to over 2 years to find a win from Edson Barboza. I just think he's old, and I think he's done. The only other thing to note here is about his stats. He's going back up to 155, which is probably a very good thing for him. He looked like death on the scale. He won't have a reach advantage in this fight, which is another negative for him because he's good with reach, and he will be outsized. Jalin Turner is a massive 155 over here, but that's a breakdown for Barboza. Let's talk about Jalin Turner back over here, okay? Jalin Turner, he is a lanky, long, and explosive striker who does a very good job at using his size for the division like we spoke about. The guy's huge. He has his height, and he has his reach, and he uses it to pick apart his opponents from a distance. He has sharp jabs, he has nice hands and generals, and really solid knees. The only issue with Jalin Turner is that he can be taken down in the cage. If he does have decent defense when he does get there, but that defense isn't really anything special, and I don't want to say it's a hole in his game, but it's a path to victory for him. But he is really good on the feet. Now for Jalin, mindset is something that we are going to have to worry about him moving forward with him, okay? He retired early in his career. He made a fast return. I don't even know how long it's been, but he's spoken about his decision-making, but we can never really, know where his mind is truly at. He spoke about how he fell out of love with the game, he fell out of love with MMA, and he doesn't want to get in the cage and hurt people anymore. It was a bit similar to what you would hear from Rory McDonald if you ever listened to him back in the day when he was talking about retiring and changing his life. A lot of fans point to Jalin Turner with the Bobby Green fight where he could have killed a guy, but something, honestly, it just seemed to switch with him, and he no longer wants to get into the cage, and he doesn't want to hurt his opponents anymore. If that's true, and I say, if, because he could always just, want to have a nice guy image for the camera. We don't know the true intentions. But if it's true, that could lead to him maybe being hesitant in moments in the cage. Maybe, a kill shot will be there and he won't go for it. Especially if you're, literally inside the octagon. Maybe you get an... I don't know if this is exactly, the right term because it sounds really extreme. I don't want to say PTSD, but I can't think of anything else. Where it's he remembers what he did to Bobby, All I'm saying is it's something that is something that we need to take into consideration. It might just be no big deal that he retired, okay? Maybe he's perfectly motivated. Maybe he wants to get some cash, get a title, and that's good enough. It's just something to note moving forward with Jalin Turner. So, Jalin, he fought about 8-ish months ago, and he's looking at his record. It's shocking to me that the guy's 14-9. He is a good fighter. He is coming off of 2 losses to Ignacio Bahamondes, which is a very, very good loss to have. But prior to that, he got controlled by Mike Cano, eventually getting TKO'd. His only recent win was that Bobby Green fight that we spoke about, and even that hasn't exactly aged all that well. But he has been taking on, for the most part, top-level competition, and I guess you could say ranked if you don't like the word top-level, but he's going to have something to prove in the cage, man. He's coming back. He's going to have a youth advantage. He's going to have a height advantage. I can't wait to see what version of him shows up. And that's a very, very interesting fight. And guys, I would be having a very different conversation with you right now if we were talking about an Edson Barboza that wasn't past his prime. I don't know. I would probably pick an Edson Barboza, but I'm not going to pick the Edson Barboza in his current state to win pretty well any fight. He'd have to be fighting the bottom of the barrel lightweights. And Jalin Turner's not that. Again, I worry about his headspace. I worry about his motivation. But I don't see Edson Barboza getting one up on Jalin Turner. He looked bad in his fight with Lerone Murphy. He looked even worse in his most recent bout. Unless it was the weight cut getting to him that much, which I don't think it's the case. The guy's 40. The guy has all the miles in the world in his body. His heart doesn't seem to be in it anymore. I'm not going to pick Edson Barboza to get the job done. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Jalin Turner. Massive size advantage he's going to have. Weirdly, he's not going to have a reach advantage, but he's going to be big. He's going to be young. He's going to be strong. I am very confident in saying that Jalin Turner gets the job done, despite me being worried about his mindset for the game and coming back into the octagon. And Jalin Turner is sitting at the average odds of minus 281 over there. We do have round lines for this so far. Over 2.5 at plus 108. I would imagine that most people would think that Jalin Turner would find a KO then. Edson's a very, very tough guy to put away. I don't know. Can he get the finish? That's not one that I would play with, but if you're somebody who likes parlays, I personally hate MMA parlays. Jalin Turner is definitely one that I would add to a parlay if I did have one. I like Jalin Turner in this matchup. Nothing against him, but I hope Edson Barboza gets the job done. I've loved watching Edson over the years. I want to see him have like that swan song. Get a win, retire. I don't want to watch you fight anymore, Edson. That's how I feel about it. Let's keep going up the card over here, guys, and we have Marvin Vettori taking on Bruno Ferreira. This is an interesting fight. Marvin Vettori is used to like being sprinkled around that top level over here, and he's taking a little bit of a step down in competition over here, which is going to be fun to watch. I've always liked watching Marvin fight. He always puts on a tough performance. Not the most exciting, but it's fun to watch. But Bruno Ferreira has been really putting things together. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about Marvin Vettori first, guys. Marvin Vettori is a decently well-rounded fighter, but of course, primarily a wrestler who, for some reason, almost never uses his wrestling in the cage. Historically, if Marvin wins a fight, he gets by on toughness and cardio. Unfortunately, in most fights, Marvin will show up, he'll be insanely tough, he'll be stationary, and he'll throw one shot at a time. He can get away with this most of the time, though, because he has arguably the greatest chin in MMA history. His toughness and durability in general are just, they're completely through the roof. And you know this if you watch Marvin Vettori fight. And he has the cardio to get through that. It just doesn't mean he'll win the bouts that he takes place in. It's just, he's definitely there in live. I've never really understood him, man, because I think that he'd have so much potential if he would just use that durability and toughness and just crash into people, taking them down and working from there. Because, like, that, honestly, that strategy could create a lot of issues for people. He's a good wrestler, at the very worst decent, and no matter what knees or counter shots that he might get blasted with on the way in, he's tough enough and durable enough that he'd be able to drag someone to the ground. I wholeheartedly believe that. Now, you might say something in response to that, something like, oh, well, it's a damaging strategy on his own end, but he does take the damage in his fights either way. Why not crash into your opponent? But he won't do that, ever. He'll show up, he'll look stationary, he'll throw one shot at a time with pillow hands compared to the rest of the division. That's all he does. Anyways, Marvin is now 19-8 in his career, and he has been on, unfortunately, quite the skid. He's lost 3 in a row, which 2 of them he's only been active for. This year, he beat Roman Dolidze and he beat Brendan Allen. For the Roman fight, a lot of us were curious about what version of Marvin Vettori would show up because he took like this big, huge layoff, and after 2 years, he got back into the cage, and he was the exact same fighter. He ate shots for 5 rounds and threw 1 shot at a time. To be fair, it was a close fight, but he didn't he didn't make any improvements in his game whatsoever. Now, what's weird is that most recently in the Brendan Allen fight that he had, who is, in my opinion, Brendan Allen is a top-level fighter, okay? The fight was really close. They went to war, but for some reason, Marvin just kind of looked more on than usual. He was more aggressive. I'm not sure if that's because of the beef that they had together or what it was, but we finally saw something a little extra from Marvin, something that we've been waiting for. But it is also important to note that, extra was still Marvin Vettori fighting the way that Marvin Vettori does. We can just hope that same guy with a little bit of urgency that we saw in that last fight show up. But as weird as it sounds, he's still in his prime, and here we will have a slight height and reach advantage in taking on the smaller guy in Bruno Ferreira. I feel like I spoke a lot about Marvin Vettori there. We'll talk about Bruno Ferreira. Of course, we're going to talk about him, right? Bruno Ferreira is a powerful striker who looks to just move forward and finish his opponents any way possible. On the feet, he does a good job standing there and attacking all parts of the body, but sometimes he can get caught up here and there just, waiting to find that perfect shot, and he ends up taking too long to throw. But he does have all of the heart in the world. He has good cardio. He has good BJJ in that back pocket. And Bruno, he's been pretty active unlike Marvin, and he's a little bit of a underrated win streak. He's coming off of 2 straight armbar wins against Armin Petrosian and Jackson McVeigh. Aside from the loss to Abus Magomedov, where in that fight against Abus, he was still having a pretty good performance, he's been winning the vast majority of his fights. He's still in his prime as well, and he's coming in against a tough veteran here. And I think it's again, the UFC matchmakers, and I've been saying this in recent full card breakdowns, guys, they have been doing an excellent job lately with matchups, and I really like this matchup. I'm kind of taking the route that I am with Edson Barboza over here. I don't think Marvin Vettori is washed, but I'm not going to pick him to win a fight. He has made no improvements whatsoever to his game. Bruno Ferreira's coming in. He's finishing guys. He's looking good. And I know it's kind of a step up in competition. I get that. I don't see Marvin finishing him. Marvin's probably not going to wrestle. So Bruno might just be a little bit more active, and he's probably going to tee off on Marvin Vettori, maybe damage him up a little bit. I know it's a step down in competition for Vettori, but I'm just not going to pick him to win. He never changes anything. I'm picking the Hulk. I'm picking Bruno Ferreira. Medium confidence level pick in saying that, guys. Let's see what the odds say over here. And Bruno Ferreira, it's about a pick him over here. Bruno Ferreira at -105, Marvin Vettori at -118. Over 2.5. I love the over 2.5 for this one. Marvin Vettori, you are very safe in going over 1.5 rounds. So I'd be curious as to what the 1.5 round looks like for that fight, or goes to a decision point. That's definitely something that I would look into as well. There's a few round lines in this card that I'm interested in seeing. But again, Bruno Ferreira is going to be my pick to win this fight. All right, guys, let's keep going on up the card over here to a banger of a fight. One of the best on the card, guys. We have Terrence McKinney taking on Chris Duncan. Two fighters that are on a roll in their division right now. Let's break down Terrence McKinney first, guys. Terrence McKinney, guys. He is a lengthy striker with huge power, a great wrestling game, and an always evolving BJJ skill set to wrap everything up nicely. He really shines in the octagon when he's able to get in there, put the pressure on, dictate the pace in fights, and have a little bit of a bullyish game. When he's on the ground, he has nice control, he has good transitions, and he has great ground and pound. Now, Terrence has also spoken about him working with his team to fight more patiently in the bouts that he comes in. So far, we've seen a little bit of that. Perhaps in time we'll see, whether or not this patient approach could outdo the pressure approach that Terrence had, because it was pretty good. But Terrence now is 17-7 in his career at this point, and after everybody was calling him a fraud, he's been winning, and he's been making nice improvements to his game. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm tapping my microphone. He's coming off of 2 wins in his bout, one of them against Damir Hadzovic, where he just looked perfect. He had great, fluid striking, reversed a takedown, and then just ground and pounded his way to his stoppage. Then, most recently, he beat Vyacheslav Borshev in another perfect performance. Caught the first kick that was thrown his way, he got a takedown, he snagged a beautiful submission right away. It was nice. So he's riding a high right now. And how often can you say that people have 2 perfect performances in a row? And hopefully those changes that he's been making to his game are working for him, because he has so much potential. He's still in his prime, and he will have a 2-inch reach advantage here, which he can certainly make use of. He's very good. Again, he's wrapping things up nicely, because I want to say he's great with the pressure, but he's great using his length as well. He's fun to watch, man. But let's talk about the problem. Chris Duncan. He is a well-rounded fighter who is very powerful in the feet. He brings huge heart into the cage, and he has really good grappling to wrap everything up. He also has a great clinch game and really good Muay Thai. Sneaky step and elbows as well. The guy always comes in, and he never stops pushing to get the win. He will always bring a fight, and he has insane durability with heart to push forward in those bouts. If Chris Duncan gets in there and he's able to create chaos, he is very good at keeping things calm within that chaos and staying accurate. Calculated chaos, we like to say. He's also just one of those guys that you can never count out in a fight. Last thing I did want to note about the problem, though, is that I love that he seems to, in his fights, keep what works. For example, if he sees a body shot working, he'll keep trying to execute that body shot. If you have a damaged cut above your eye, he'll aim for that damaged cut. I do think it's a very underrated part of MMA, and I do not understand why more guys don't capitalize on these types of things. So many more fights can be won by that, Now, it is nice to see, where Chris is in his career right now, because people are finally starting to pay attention to him. He's been really underrated, really fun for a long time, and he's been on a pretty sneaky win streak as well. He's coming off of a win against Mateusz Rebecki in one of literally, the most brutal technical wars that I have ever seen. Winning against Mateusz Rebecki is great too. He just thrived. His stock only went up. Before that, he beat Jordan Vucenic and Blachowicz, and prior to that last loss, he had taken on some great competition and winning for the most part. This should be an insane bout. He's also in his prime. He's on a roll, just like Terrence is. So like I said, you have 2 guys that are always fun to watch. Gonna come in here. Both guys are riding a little bit of a high right now. I don't know who's going to get the job done. It's going to be tough, man. I'm going to lean towards Chris Duncan, Because even if Terrence McKinney comes in and he is just on, the striking's there, the power's there, the timing's there, I think Chris will be able to survive anything that Terrence can bring. And I think Chris can do a little bit more damage, and I think Chris could potentially maybe even find a finish. I think this is going to get dirty. If Chris Duncan doesn't win early, I think it's going to get dirty. I think he's going to survive whatever Terrence does, and I think within that chaos, Chris Duncan is going to thrive. But Terrence has been improving. Terrence has been looking good. I'm not counting him out, but I think that Chris Duncan is going to get the job done. I'm fairly confident in saying so. I just think it's a little bit of a better matchup for him. And he's been on a roll, riding a high momentum right now. I like the guys that he's beat more than Terrence McKinney personally. I'm going to pick Chris Duncan in this bout, guys. Let's see what Odds Jim has to say about this one. Chris Duncan's in at the average odds of -192. That's fair. That's fair. I can see people like worrying about Terrence McKinney getting chinned as well. But let's see what they have for the round lines over here. Over 1.5 at plus money. You know, I don't mind that either. Dude, there are so many round lines here with potential. I'd be surprised if Terrence McKinney finished Chris Duncan. But the question is, can Chris Duncan, excuse me if you hear my notification. The question is, will Chris Duncan finish Terrence McKinney? Because a chinning is definitely a possibility, but I would imagine that it would go over 1.5. There is, and I'm so sorry about that, guys. There's potential there. But I like Chris Duncan in this matchup, guys. Chris Duncan is giving me my pick to get the job done. Let's keep going up the card over here, guys. Next up, this is a little bit of an easier fight to break down. I'm excited to watch, don't get me wrong, but I think it's going to be pretty quick to break down. We have Grant Dawson taking on Manuel Torres. This is just whether Grant Dawson has success or not in the grappling is going to tell a lot in this fight, okay? Let's talk about Grant Dawson first. Grant Dawson, he is a grappler who brings an incredible top game into his fights. If he takes you down, which is very likely, he has great control, he has great transitions, and he is just really great at maintaining the top game. Now, unfortunately, it's not all great because on the feet, he's pretty slow and lacks striking technique, I will say. He's a very one-dimensional fighter, but he is very good at that one thing that he does. Now, when we talk about Grant's fights, there isn't exactly much to break down. He's beat some good competition. It could be better, but it's not bad competition. He's been fairly active, and he's just coming in, and he's controlling everybody the entire bout, no matter who he goes up against. And we're going to mention this same kind of thing with a couple people moving forward, but we'll get into that. Like, the entire breakdown for Grant's pretty simple. Other than that, I can say, like, Grant's coming into this fight, he's still in his prime. He fights somebody, he takes them down, he controls them, he wins. Or he submits them. But let's talk about Manuel Torres, who is also going to be pretty simple to break down. He's a great striker with a pretty decent ground game to back it up. On the feet, he's very technical. He's good with his hands in general. He has nice calf kicks. He has nice elbows. He's always just, super tough in the octagon. Now, at times, Manuel can be hittable with his chin in the air, but his style works out more for him than not. He's coming off of a clean win at 16-3 right now over Drew Dober, where he landed a clean 1-2 right away and got that finish. Prior to that, he lost to Ignacio Bahamondes, where while that fight lasted, he was doing okay in the octagon, but he just ended up getting caught. Before that, it's been pretty much all fun for Manuel Torres. He's also coming into the fight in this prime, and he will have a very slight reach advantage in this bout. I'm excited for this one, guys. So the question is, do you think that Grant Dawson can take Manuel Torres down? If the answer to that is yes, then he's going to easily win this fight. If not, or if Manuel Torres can do what Bobby Green did and just chin Grant Dawson right away, it's going to be an easy fight for Manuel Torres. I think it's more likely that Grant Dawson takes down Manuel Torres because his takedown defense isn't anything that I've seen where it's like, whoa, look out for that takedown defense. I don't think that Grant Dawson's going to... I think Grant Dawson's going to struggle here. I think what's likely to happen is that he's going to get a hold of Manuel Torres. But I'm not confident in saying that Grant Dawson's going to win. Again, there is a very, very clear difference in the level of grappling versus striking. Like, this is about as much of a grappler versus striker's matchup as you can get. I do think it's more likely that Grant gets a hold of Manuel Torres, though. I'm not touching this fight at all. Both guys are great. I think both of them are relatively at the same level, but I think that Grant Dawson's going to get the job done. He's going to be my pick. It was probably a little bit of a quick, 3 minutes we talked about that fight for. I thought that was going to be really, really quick. But anyways, Grant Dawson is sitting at a -227 favorite over here. He is not worth that sprinkle. I think it should be closer than that, but I still don't want to bet on Manuel Torres. Don't get me wrong. Let's see what we have for the average odds. Over 1.5, -200. Yeah, I could see it going over 1.5, unless you really think that Manuel Torres is going to come in there and really like make quick work of Grant. I'm not going to touch this fight. Low confidence pick. I'm going to pick Grant Dawson to get the job done. All right, guys, let's keep going up the card over here. We have Faraz ZM taking on Nazim Sadikov in another really, really great matchup over here. I imagine this one's going to be a little bit quick to break down as well, but let's talk about this, okay? Let's start with Faraz ZM over here on the left. Faraz ZM is a K1 kickboxing champion. He is a long striker who likes to keep things at bay technically. He is pretty safe. He's slow-paced. He picks his shots, and he really only throws when he's confident that he'll land, which is often. He's completely comfortable getting in there and winning on points in bouts. While he does have strengths when he's at bay with his opponents, he also can fight up close too, and he has the heart to scrap. Don't get me wrong. Also, in the past, we should mention that he has issues defending takedowns, but that does seem to be improving. Now, Faraz has been on an insanely nice win streak. The competition level definitely could be better, but he's just been winning, and he's been looking better doing it. He's 17-4 now. Hopefully, he's going to be more active. I know something unfortunate happened with his last bout. Somebody close to him ended up passing away. I don't really recall who, but we can just hope that everything's the best for him. But going back to the fight, in this fight, he will have a 6-inch reach advantage, which is going to be great for him. He'll have a slight height advantage, and he just entered his prime in the octagon. I am excited to see what he can do. I was waiting for Faraz ZM to fight, and unfortunately, you gotta cancel when you have to cancel, right? Hopefully everything's okay and hopefully his mind's alright. But let's talk about Nazim Sadikov over here. Nazim Sadikov is a kickboxer with really nice technique on the feet. He has nice speed, he has nice power, pressure, movement to go along with that, and he isn't afraid to get flashy. Now, Nazim is coming off of a performance that is finally getting him a lot of hype that he's been really, looking for. Before he beat Nicholas Mata, and before that fight, he wasn't really living up to this massive prospect people were making him out to be, but he is coming off of one of the most brutal, beautiful technical wars that I've seen in recent history. He looked great in that fight, okay? Before that, though, for the most part, it's been win after win. He beat Ismail Bonfim, which was okay, but aside from his last fight, man, there isn't really anything crazy to note. Like Faraz ZM, he's also coming into this fight in his prime. I'm excited to see it, man, and this is another one where it's going to be interesting to see. So, did Nazim Sadikov level up since his last performance? That's another question as well. I'm going to pick Faraz ZM, though, to get the job done. I really like the reach advantage that he has. He can definitely make work of that. If Nazim Sadikov wants to scrap just like he did in his last fight, I think Faraz ZM could also get there as well. I just think that Faraz ZM is improving at a rate than Nazim. And he could be improving, but I think he's improving at a more rapid rate than Nazim Sadikov, and I like the performances that he's put on in comparison to Nazim. Yeah, again, his last fight was great, but I've liked the work that I've seen from Faraz ZM more than I've seen with Nazim Sadikov. I like the slight height advantage. I like that he's just entering his prime. He's probably, I would imagine the guy's motivated to get in after having his last fight canceled. He's going to have a big reach advantage. I'm going to pick Faraz ZM in about a 70-30 confidence level on that one, guys. Faraz ZM is going to be my pick to win. Okay, let's take a look at the odds over here. And Faraz ZM sitting at a average odds favorite of -144. I think that's fair. Let's see what we have for the round lines over here. Over 2.5 at -182. This should go to a decision. Yeah, I don't mind either of those, but again, that's not really a fight that I would touch personally, but a fight that that's not next up. I was about to say there's a fight that I'm considering touching that I want to talk about, but again, Faraz ZM is going to be my pick. Let's keep going up the card, guys. Over here, we have Mansour Abdul Malik coming on over here against Antonio Tricoli. Again, another very good matchup by the UFC. I think it's pretty good. Let's break these two fighters down, okay? Mansour Abdul Malik, he is a well-rounded fighter, but he is primarily a striker. He has really nice power, he has great elbows, and he has ruthless top work when he gets there. He's also just, he's just built, he's insanely strong in general. When he's on top, I also really love his submission defense. He pounds through those submissions. And if you guys follow the channel, you might know that that's something that I believe to be incredibly effective and incredibly underrated in MMA. Now, for Mansour's record, there unfortunately isn't much to note. He hasn't taken on any significant level of competition, and his fights go, pretty similar to how we spoke about with Grant Dawson. Not in the same way as Grant Dawson. I mean, it's simple to talk about. And we'll have the same thing with a couple other fighters on this card. He comes in, he swings, and he either gets a knockout or he keeps swinging. So far, it's been nothing but successful for him. He's in his prime, he's undefeated, and I cannot wait to see him perform again in the octagon. Sorry. Could you imagine if I just left it at, like, hey, yeah, this guy fights like Grant Dawson? You all would have unsubscribed. Antonio Tricoli, though, he is a decent striker with a good submission game. He does his best work at range and when he's striking, and he's really good at using his height and his reach. The guy is also massive for the division. He does have some issues when opponents, come into the pocket. Like I said, he is good with his length. And speaking of weaknesses, he can at times be low volume. Now, unfortunately, Antonio has been winless since entering the UFC. He lost to Shargo Magomedov, and he very quickly lost to Tresean Gore. He's just going to have to come in, man. He's going to have to really pull it together, man, because age-wise, he has exited his prime, and he will have a little bit of a height and reach advantage. A little bit. It shouldn't matter much in this bout, to be honest with you. And, guys, I don't really see this going any other way than Mansour's typical fights. I always thought that Antonio Tricoli had potential, but he hasn't lived up to it at all. He's a big guy. He can get the job done. Since getting into the UFC, nothing makes me go, ooh, look out. But Mansour, at least he comes in and he looks to kill people. He's in his prime too. I'm going to pick Mansour Abdulmalik to get the job done. I don't really see anything that Antonio Tricoli could do to him. I'm kind of done, being a believer. Not that I was really a believer. It's just, I always thought that he had some potential. Mansour Abdulmalik is going to be my pick to get the job done over here, and he is a massive favorite. See, I just don't see a path to victory for Antonio. Wow. Minus 972. It's crazy odds. I wish that I could say they didn't make sense, but I think that they do. All right, guys, let's get on to the main prelim, or the featured prelim over here. We have Maycee Barber returning, maybe. This fight might end up getting canceled, but she's taking on killer Karine Silva. Let's talk about this bout. It's actually, for WMMA, good bout over here, okay? Hopefully it actually goes through. We'll talk about Maycee Barber first. And Maycee Barber, guys, she is a well-rounded fighter, but she excels a little bit in the boxing game, I would say. She's a girl who comes in, she's physically strong, and she can sometimes use that to her advantage in the cage, but there isn't really anything else, to be honest, to point out about her. She's a little bit better than your typical WMMA fighter in the division. She's a bit scrappier. She definitely has more heart. But something that we do need to start getting into when we talk about Maycee is unfortunately her health, and that along with her motivation. She's been running into health issues lately, canceled a fight because of it. Not only would that demotivate you, but it could always hinder your training and your performances inside the octagon. On top of that, Maycee, and this is something we have to talk about, okay? She's had plastic surgery, and we have to be honest here, guys. It's very well done. The reason that I mention that is because the girl absolutely fell in love with herself on social media, and she fell in love with social media. She's always spending time thirst trapping, and now that she has a bunch of sponsorships, and she could just get the validation and the profit from outside the actual octagon, in most cases, that would of course result in a lack of motivation, or especially maybe in the heart or grit to want to get the job done inside the octagon, let alone train for her fight. On top of that, having giant breast implants could be a weakness of, a target, or hinder your movement a little bit. She is at 125. Maycee's going to have to go into the cage and really, for this fight, prove what she's all about to the people, because she's shown potential in the past. But as I spoke about with this health issue and the layoff, Maycee hasn't fought in almost 2 years, but thankfully, she's still young. She hasn't even hit her prime yet, but as for her record, it's been an okay win streak. It's been nice, okay. I just mean it by performance standards. It could be better. It's just a nice win streak. Unfortunately, none of them, in my opinion, are to the level of what Karine Silva is, and I don't even really think that Karine Silva is all that, to be honest. This is just going to be a strange one. I don't know where Maycee Barber is in her career. I don't know how she's going to come in, and I don't know how she's going to look. We just have a lot of questions about her. Hopefully, she can overcome all of these negatives. She's coming into the octagon. She's healthy. She's ready to go. There's no cancellations. She makes the weight okay, because she is fun to watch fight compared to the division, so we can hope for the best. But let's talk about Karine Silva, okay? Karine Silva is a well-rounded fighter who excels in the grappling department. She has very strong takedowns. She has good control. She's always attacking great submissions on the ground, and she has, nice, accurate slicing elbows when she's on. Now, Karine has also had cardio issues in the past, but she seemed to fix that. She's not nearly fighting as hard as she used to, but that also, comes with a little bit of inactivity inside the cage. She fights best when she comes in, she puts on the pace. She would be incredibly tough to deal with if she had good, hard 3-round hard cardio, but unfortunately she doesn't. The only thing that's solidly missing from her game is that cardio push. Now, Carini, I guess you could say, beat the fraud check allegations after beating Diana Belbita. And guys, I don't remember what the common consensus was on this fight. I personally thought that she lost all 3 rounds. I still think that she's overrated, okay? She struggled to even beat Diana Belbita. Before, though, the fraud check allegations were in full effect when she lost to Viviana Rujo. She gassed out. She looked horrible. Before that, though, a ton of people were insanely high on Carini Silva and her potential, and I was high on her as well. Going back to years ago, she's had a few nice wins, but her recent performances are what matters more. So she's not coming in here with any hype whatsoever like it used to be with her. Other than that, she'll have a slight reach advantage here against Macy, and she could make use of that. Macy could get pretty scrappy and swingy, so depends if she ends up actually taking advantage of that. This one I don't know. Because before Macy with the breast implants, and before Macy when she was coming in scrapping, she didn't have the health issues, I'd pick her hands down. But I worry about that. Again, she fell in love with her Instagram, and you could still fight well. Don't get me wrong; it's always possible. But she's setting up a career where she doesn't need to fight. I'm gonna take Carini Silva. I just do not trust Macy. I don't trust her weight cut. I don't trust her health. For any of those reasons, I'm not gonna pick her. But if she comes in and she's 100%, I think she's gonna win the fight. But that's not what we're doing over here. We can't say, well, if she shows up healthy, I'm picking her. I'm picking Carini Silva for those reasons. I'm not high on either girl. There's some potential. Carini Silva, I'm excited to watch this one, though. It should be a good fight for WMMA. And Carini Silva, I am going to guess, gets the job done. Let's see what the odds are over here. Carini Silva sent the underdog over here. Average odds of plus 135. And then we have an over 2.5 round line of minus 400. Yeah, I'd be surprised if somebody ended up getting finished in that fight. I'm going to go with Carini Silva, the underdog. Low confidence. Now, guys, of course, I do talk a lot about betting on this channel. If you guys are interested in either supporting the channel or seeing exactly what I'm doing with my money each week, I am primarily a UFC bettor. Keep that in mind moving forward with the end of the year over here. Every single Friday or Saturday that there is UFC on, and depending on whether or not I like to bet on Friday fights, sometimes I sprinkle in one championship, LFA. But again, I'm primarily a UFC bettor. I'll be posting a community members only video as well as a community post every single Friday or Saturday morning. Again, depending on whether or not I'd like to bet on the Friday nights, I'll be diving into exactly what I'm doing with my money each week. I'm going to explain my picks, my confidence levels, why I'm picking the bets, things like that. So again, if you either want to support the channel or combine my fight knowledge with your own research, we are welcome to check out the channel membership, which is very cheap compared to other channels, in the pinned comment description down below or right next to the subscribe button. Last UFC card, we clean swept the bets. One parlay, one official play. We'll walk you through it tomorrow. Look out for the official betting guide video, guys. I'm excited. So again, either support the channel or if you want to combine, again, research. I'm yapping way too much about this. It's been a minute. Let's get into the main card. Thanks for listening. All right, guys, let's go up to the first fight on the main card over here. And this might be the fight that I'm looking forward to most on the card. This whole one is phenomenal, man. I don't know what fight I'm looking forward to most, man. This one might be it. I don't know if it's a hot take to say or not. Both guys are really, really great, man. Brandon Moreno, Tatsuro, Taira. I don't want one guy to lose this fight. Ugh. Maybe I'm not going to like watching it so much. I like both guys a lot. I respect both guys a lot. It's a shame that somebody has to lose this bout. But let's break them down. Let's start with the assassin, baby. Brandon Moreno. And Brandon Moreno, guys, he is a very complete fighter who can literally do everything inside that octagon. There's no like one specialty, quality, or move that I can point you to with Brandon Moreno. You name the part of martial arts, and this guy can do it at the absolute highest of levels. All the technique in the world. He has all the heart in the world, cardio, defense, experience. Brandon has officially reached completeness a while ago, in my opinion. Now, Brandon, guys, is another fighter that on the, with this theme that I've been talking about with this card where I kind of forget that he's still in his prime at 32 years old. He's been through a lot of, octagon time and high-level wars. It's just surprising that he's still young. Anyways, after losing two really close fights to both Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Royval, he's really put it together, beating both Steve Erceg and Amir Albazi. Now, while I do think that Steve is great, it's important to note that he did take on a significantly lower level of competition in those bouts compared to the ones that he lost. He shined against Amir, looking some of the best that he's ever been. But was that because Brandon Moreno was improving, or because he was on, or was that because of Amir Albazi's health issues? Then against Urseg, it was a decent win. He just came in, he outstruck Steve Urseg the entire time. So while he definitely has bounced back from those losses, and again, losses in which he did look good in, for me to be convinced that he's still championship material at the top of the division, he'll have to get one over on somebody like Taira, because at this point, I'd pick Van to beat him. I'd pick Roval to beat him again if they ever did fight. He's having a lot of rematches, but it's besides the point. Let's talk about Tatsuro Taira. Tatsuro Taira, he's a well-rounded fighter, but primarily a grappler. His BJJ is top-notch, and his striking is really nice as well. On the feet, he's patient. He waits for his moments. He has nice technique, and that technique is improving every single fight. He has a ton of heart. He has nice 5-round hard cardio. If he's on the ground, which is, again, always the game plan for Tatsuro, he's always looking for submissions. He's very capable of getting them with, very smooth transitions to work with people. Like, he is just great on the ground. Now, if you guys have been following the channel, you might know that I've been pretty hyped up on Tatsuro Taira for a little while now. He's gotten so good at such a young age, and he has made so many improvements to his game that I don't know if it's too early to say, but I really do believe that he is going to be a champion in the future. He's now 17-1 MMA. He's been getting in there with some absolute animals. He has wins over Carlos Hernandez, Alex Perez, and most recently, Hyun Sung Park, which... Sorry, I said the word with my dog here. And if you want to go back even further, he beat Edgar Sherriz while he was on that win streak. Those are all, guys, like, really great talents. And I love the experience that he's been getting with these guys. His only loss came to Brandon Royval, which has aged well. And in that fight, he proved that he has the heart to go to war. And he barely lost that fight as well. He's only 25. He's not even close to his prime. He's improving. He is really coming into his own, and I cannot wait to watch this fight, guys. When I was, uploading the pages over here to take a look at for the video today, I looked at this and I go, yeah, that's a 50-50. Completely 50-50 fight. My gut is telling me Taira. Don't know why. I can't tell you why. Brandon Moreno can match Tatsuro Taira. Like, if Tatsuro Taira gets into the ground, Brandon can flow with him. Brandon can block off submissions. Brandon can get up. Brandon can defend takedowns. On the feet, they're both very good. This is the toughest fight to call on the card. I have no clue what's going to happen, but my gut is telling me Tatsuro Taira. And again, I wish I could tell you why. They're both great. It's a great fight. I think I'm looking forward to this fight more than any other fight on the entire card. And that's probably why, is because I don't know what's going to happen. It's a shame that somebody has to lose this bout, man. Yeah, for the sake of the video, I'm going to pick Tatsuro Taira. But in my opinion, guys, this is about as 50-50 as a fight as it gets. Let's see the odds over here. The odds kind of suggest the same thing, with Tatsuro Taira being barely a favorite over here. It might be worth taking a stab at Brandon Moreno or whoever ends up the underdog by the time the card comes. Over 2.5, it should go over 2.5. Both guys are really tough. Again, there's a lot of round lines that I like this time around. Watch it just be like all finishes. It's a great fight, guys. I don't want either guy to lose. I'm excited to watch this. That's probably the best fight on the card. Let's keep going over here, guys. Next up, we have Jan Blachowicz returning to the UFC, taking on Bogdan Guskov. Knock off Anthony Smith, as people would say. Let's break these two fighters down, okay? Jan Blachowicz back in the octagon. He is a very well-rounded fighter, but he is primarily a kickboxer with excellent technique everywhere on the feet. When it comes to striking, or when it comes to kickboxing in a match just that stands on the feet, the guy can do it all. He has excellent timing, leg kicks, boxing, defense, fight IQ, the legendary Polish power that he lives up to. He is flat out complete when it comes to the striking game, and he is no joke at all on the ground either. He's well-rounded. It's just like that striking is so good, it kind of separates the breakdown here, saying like, okay, you got to watch out for this dude on the feet. Now for the elephant in the room, though. He is unfortunately well past his prime, but he isn't nearly washed, okay? He is still a very capable fighter. It's just clear that he has unfortunately lost a little bit of the step, and understandably so. Now for Jan's record, he has been very inactive. Point being, he's much better than his 29-11 record, I'd say, which isn't too bad, but he's been in there with absolutely nothing but the best of the best. Most recently, he returned after a couple years off against Carlos Ulberg in a hard fight, fairly close fight. It was just a good scrap, and he proved that he can still fight well at his age. But again, the cliff is coming for Jan Blachowicz very, very soon. He's almost 43 years old now, and he will have a slight reach advantage. And last thing, I remember their talks about surgeries. Don't remember the time length on that. If he's fought since, my apologies for that. But let's break down Bogdan Guskov, okay? He is a fighter that is close within training with Walter Walker. He is an aggressive striker who is always coming out just looking to finish his opponents. He's particularly dangerous in the first round, but he is, never a guy that you can count out in the entirety of the fight. He always possesses that fight-ending power. Now, Bogdan can be beat technically. Sometimes he is low volume. Sometimes he can get a little bit hungry for the KO shot, leaving him vulnerable to counters or fighters with good movements. And Bogdan, he's also been in the UFC for a while now. He's 18-3 in MMA. He's on a nice win streak. And unfortunately, the level of competition in that win streak isn't too great. He pretty well knocked out everybody in his way, though. His only UFC loss came to his debut against Volkan Ozdemir, which that is a step up in competition. So from what we've seen now, we might have him figured out around kind of where he fits in the division. But he's been performing, man, as of late. He's been looking really, really good. And this is another one of those fights like I was just talking about with Edson Barboza, where if this was a prime version of Jan Blachowicz, we'd be having a very different conversation, and I would have no doubt in my mind that Jan would beat Bogdan Guskov. I would go as far to say lock of the week for Jan Blachowicz to take on Bogdan. But with the injuries and the surgeries, at 43 years old, like I said, while he has shown to be a capable fighter, especially in his last performance, he is a step behind, and Bogdan just keeps coming in and knocking these guys out. I'm still not convinced of Bogdan, though. And I'm reluctantly going to pick Jan Blachowicz to win. He's taken on guys that are much, much better than Bogdan Guskov. And even if the same Jan Blachowicz shows up that showed up against Carlos Ulberg, I feel like that version of him is good enough to take on Bogdan Guskov. But Bogdan's been a guy we've been counting out for a little while. I'm going to pick Jan Blachowicz to win. I hope Jan Blachowicz wins. He's one of my favorite fighters. I am very, I want him to get the job done, but I am going to with low confidence, pick him to win. Okay, let's take a look at the odds over here. And Bogdan Guskov, Jan Blachowicz is basically how to pick him. -108, -115. We also have over 1.5 at -154. There's potential for an over or an under in that fight, but this is another fight that I personally wouldn't touch. It makes sense to be about to pick him. I'm going to go with Jan. Very, very low confidence. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. Over here, we have Triple C returning in his final fight. This will be the final time that we're talking about him, and he's taking on an up-and-comer in Payton Talbott, man. They do not want Henry Cejudo to have a swan song one little bit. Let's break these two down, okay? Henry Cejudo is an Olympic wrestler and a well-rounded fighter. Honestly, you could go as far to say as a complete fighter for Henry Cejudo. Henry's one of those guys who could do everything. The only thing that he really lacked in his career or lacked in his skill set is raw power. But over the years, he turned that wrestling base that he had into a complete martial artist. His striking is great. His BJJ is up there. He has great fight IQ, heart, cardio, great technique everywhere, and of course wrestling. Now, unfortunately for Henry, guys, he is clearly no longer in his prime. His cardio isn't nearly as great as it was in previous years, and it really does seem like his heart isn't as much as it is either. Like, he can't push himself the same way that he used to. And Henry's also been pretty inactive, and he's coming into this fight, having his final fight, as I mentioned, and on a 3-fight losing streak. So I don't know how his motivation is going to be here. On one hand, you could look at it from, you could be hungry for a win after losing 3 straight, looking to go out on top. But on the other side of the coin, he's been fighting well, but losing decisions. That could be demoralizing because he keeps getting in there and he keeps almost getting it done just to not do it. And I struggle to see someone who is having the retirement fight being as motivated as a hungry contender like Payton Talbott is. But hey guys, if anybody can prove me wrong in saying that, it is one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time and Olympic gold medalist in Henry Cejudo. But unfortunately, guys, since his return to the UFC, he has been winless after his retirement. He lost Aljamain Sterling in what I will say is a very good fight. That fight could have gone either way. Then he performed well against Merab, but Merab ended up doing what Merab normally does. Then he had a decent performance against, he was fighting well in a decent performance against Song Yadong, where we all know the fight ended up getting called with an eye poke. I still do think that he was going to lose that one either way, though. He just, since his retirement, since those years off, he just hasn't been the same Henry. His heart doesn't seem to be the same, and he looks so exhausted in between rounds. Again, not nearly washed, okay? He just isn't the same guy. He's 39 years old, or almost 39 years at this point, and that's really a tough age to survive it in. Like I usually talk about 135, the toughest division in combat sports history, so he's going to have a lot to prove for this final bout. But he's taking on Payton Talbott, guys. Payton Talbott is a well-rounded fighter, but primarily a flashy striker with solid movement, great cardio, good power, and good volume. For that division in 135, he has huge power, and the timing on his shots is very nice, making his power, like honestly, even greater for the division. He always knows exactly where to put himself in order to find those big shots as well, which is nice to see. If opponents can let Payton find confidence in bouts, that's where he really shines. When he's on and he's pressuring, the guy moves forward like I often describe as a brick wall, and he will just dominate you with his game. He's also rapidly improving from bout to bout, and only gets better as fights continue on. Now, Talbott, guys, he's been killing it, beating all of the fraud allegations. He came to the UFC really hyped up and just dominating and just walking through opponents. Then, of course, we all know that he ran into a little bit of a hiccup in his career. That's his one loss over here, and he got controlled by Raoni Barcelos. But he vastly improved against Felipe Lima. And even with that loss to Raoni Barcelos, it aged very well. But in that fight with Lima, it was clear that he did work on his grappling like crazy. Night and day difference. Honestly, one of the best improvements we've seen a fighter in recent history take. So he's been looking good, man. And after being, back and forth on how I feel about Payton Talbott, I am officially on the Payton Talbott train. I think that he has a very bright future in the sport. He's still so young. He's coming into this fight entering his prime, and he will have a few inches of reach, which will matter in this fight, and he will have a significant height advantage. And I'm thinking about, guys, just how outsized Payton Talbott might be, or Henry Cejudo might be like so small in comparison to Payton Talbott. Again, the reach advantage and especially the height advantage, 5'10 versus 5'4, that's going to be tough. If anybody can prove us wrong, it's Henry Cejudo, right? He's still fighting well, but he is on the decline, and that's clear, and Payton Talbott is on the incline. I very much see this fight going just like it did with Cameron Simon versus Payton Talbott, in the sense where Payton was just walking forward. It did not matter what kind of offense Cameron Simon wanted to do. It was just, hey, I'm walking into this, and I'm going to knock you down over and over and over again until I finish you. My gut is telling me that this is going to be a very embarrassing loss for Henry Cejudo, and I hope that I'm wrong. I'm not a Henry Cejudo hater like so many people on the internet are. He is up there with my favorite fighters of all time. I've never looked at him as like, he's buying into the cringe aspect. Point being, I've liked Henry Cejudo over the years. I want nothing more than to see him win and go out like finally with a win instead of the way that his career is headed right now. I don't see it happening though. He can take down Payton Talbott, but Payton Talbott, again, with the rate that he's been improving in his grappling, with his youth, with his strength and size, I imagine that he's going to be able to buckle out of whatever Henry Cejudo has to do. And on the feet, I don't even think it's going to be comparable. I'm buying into Payton Talbott this early in his career. I believe he has a very promising future. I think he's going to bully Henry Cejudo, and it makes me sad to see, and I hope that I'm wrong. And I'd love to know what you guys think about that. Let's take a look at the odds over here. So Payton Talbott, again, confident pick of mine. Payton Talbott sitting the average odds of minus 268. It makes sense, man. It makes sense. Over 2.5, under 2.5. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he finished Henry Cejudo, but oh man, he's a hard hitter. One of these days, man, Henry Cejudo's going to show up looking washed. It just might be this fight. I think Payton Talbott's really going to put a beating on him, man. Now, guys, before we talk about the co-main and the main event, let me stop you for just one more time. As you might know, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. If you happen to like my commentary, if you happen to like me, the videos that I put out, we make daily commentaries on multiple channels. We have our toes dipped in different niches of YouTube. So if you're interested in seeing videos other than MMA, check out the link tree at the top of the description or the direct links to all of my channels in the description down below. Alongside that, we make videos recapping community opinions, so follow me over on X. I will quote tweet something saying, hey, I'm going to make a video on this. As of right now, I'm working on a video with the Conor McGregor thing. If you guys want to reply to that, get your comments featured in a video. I want to make community-based videos, but if you want to see any of my other channels, check them out. Comment down below, like, subscribe, help the algorithm. It's been nice to see a bunch of you over on the other channels as well. Sometimes I even had people popping into the Fortnite streams asking about MMA, which I think is always really fun to see, guys. Sorry for interrupting the video again. It's just been nice that some of you have been checking out the other channel. Thank you very much for your time just watching this video. Let's talk about the co-main event. Now, guys, this might just be the fight that I'm most excited for. I don't know, man. It's between this and Moreno and Albazi, excuse me, and Tatsuro Taira. Alexandre Pantoja taking on Joshua Van. Oh, I'm excited to talk about this one, guys. If you guys, we'll get into Joshua Van, but I've been glazing this guy for a long time. Okay, let's break them down first, starting with the champion over here, Alexandre Pantoja, guys. He is a very well-rounded and massive fighter for the weight class. His primary strength is his grappling inside the octagon, but like I said, the guy is just very well-rounded. He has all of the heart in the world. He has experience with the best of the best in the cage, and he always does a fantastic job at keeping himself calm, composing himself, making himself comfortable, and executing the game plan that he has, no matter what situation he's in and no matter who the opponent is. The game plan will almost always be to drag opponents to the ground and work to find submissions. For cardio, he's one of those interesting ones because he has a very great hard 5-round pace, but you can see him visibly get tired. But it almost like doesn't matter because he just pushes himself with heart to just like keep going and going and going and going. Now, as I mentioned, he is massive for the weight class, okay? Just watching him throughout the entire fight week process, like just it guarantees us he cuts a massive amount of weight to make the division. He's getting up there in age, and that was only going to get harder with him as time goes on. And it probably has started affecting some of his performances, to be honest with you, because if you watch him in recent performances, he seems to be more tired even after one round now. And one day, that weight cut is going to affect his chin. And what's there else to say about Pantoja, man? He might have just reached GOAT status in the flyweight division, if not already. He's 35. He's 30-5 in his career, and he's just been beating top contender after top contender. He has officially separated himself from the pack of the flyweight division. If he does what he's been doing to Joshua Van, there's no question about it, if he isn't already, that he'll be the flyweight GOAT. No questions asked, and one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time. He will still be big in this fight, though. He will have a small reach advantage against Van. He's going to show up, and it's going to be very, very exciting to watch, man. One of the best ever against the true #1 contender right now, a brand new #1 contender in Joshua Van. Joshua Van, guys. He is an incredible boxer with an insane chin and great pressure. He has really nice vision, sneaky kicks and takedowns behind that boxing. His body work is also money. Counters are crazy, and the speed of his punches are really nice. He will walk forward. He will pick you apart and make you think about where you're getting hit, which is an underrated aspect of the game. He has all of the heart and the durability in the world. He is improving from fight to fight, and you can never count him out of a fight. He also has great defense. He does not accept any sort of bottom position if he ends up there. He has incredible takedown defense, and he has very sneaky elbows in the clinch when he's pressured. If Joshua Van is in a situation where he finds himself on the ground, he's also shown to be incredible at getting back up. Now, guys, Josh is so good with his presence in the octagon and building as the fight progresses. Of course, this is all easier said than done, but fighters need to do one of two things against him or they're going to get pieced up. One would be just finding the perfect shot to sleep him, catching him on the momentum, kind of like Charles Johnson did. Van is so good with his vision in the cage that you really need to make him think. You need to make him, worry about takedowns. You need to give him a shot that he won't see coming, which, again, is easier said than done. Or two, you need to stop trying to match his volume because he'll beat you if you do that. You need to sit on your punches, and you need to make him respect the shots that he might be walking into. Again, like Charles Johnson. On top of that, Joshua Van is open to leg kicks. Start chopping his leg. He does have good defense, but the shots can be found. Boxers are always very heavy on their front leg, and they require that a lot of times to succeed. Now, guys, if you follow the channel, you probably know how high I've been on Van for a very long time now, and it is really nice, honestly, to see him getting the recognition from the fans that he deserves. He has been, for a while, one of the best, most fun fighters to watch in the entirety of the UFC. He's already had so much high-level experience, and he's still improving, and he's only just turned 24 years old, and he is at the #1 contender spot in the flyweight division. Insane. He's been taking on great competition, and he has just been shining and putting on clinics. Most recently, He convinced everybody that he's the real deal against Brandon Royval, where he successfully won a toe-to-toe war with, again, Brandon Royval. That's an insane task. He was also very outsized in that fight. And that might be interesting with the Pantoja matchup. Maybe he'll be ready. Maybe he'll be used to it. Even in his sole loss to Charles Johnson, guys, he was well on his way to winning that fight. Just ended up getting caught. He is a phenomenal talent. I am so excited for this fight, guys. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring up some of Joshua Van's weaknesses over here with the game is because obviously that's the way to beat him. You catch him, you make him worry about something. The only thing that I can see Pantoja really taking advantage of is maybe making him worry about the takedown. And this is where the fight gets really interesting, because if Joshua Van was fighting anybody else in the division, I'd probably be confident in his ability to get the job done. But Pantoja is just a different beast. He is a different animal. This is like next level grappling. This is next level takedowns. This is next level heart inside the octagon and will to push through and beat you. So the question is, can Joshua Van do what he's been doing to everybody else and do that same thing to Alexandre Pantoja? I think he is certainly capable of doing so. Pantoja, he's going on 36 years old. Like I said, that weight cut's getting to him. He looks a little bit more tired. He's due for an upset. I don't think Pantoja is going to retire undefeated. I mean, not undefeated, but you get my point on this crazy win streak. Joshua Van, I believe, might just be the guy to do it. I'm going to trust that he doesn't get submitted. I think if Joshua Van can avoid the submissions in the first couple rounds, he's going to pull away with this fight. His volume, his cardio is just nuts, and he is going to put a pace on Pantoja like he's never seen before. The Brandon Royval fight was a convincing fight to me that he was championship material, even if he ends up losing this fight. And you might know, if you've been following the channel, that I have been crazy high on this guy. I have been very open on a couple fighters that I'm just going to bet on because they're worth my money, and I know they will fight for my money. Chepe Mariscal was one of them. I know Chepe Mariscal just lost, but I might continue that because he might have had staph infection in that fight. Ian Gary might be one of those guys with me. Joshua Van is my main guy for that. I have been very open, and I know the only reason I say I've been very open about this is because we keep the bets private for the membership. I've been very open that I've been betting on every single fight that Joshua Van has, regardless of the opponent. I didn't think that he beat Brandon Royval, or I thought it was a 50-50 fight, but I'm like, dude, I'm betting on Joshua Van. I could care less. I'm going to do the same thing with Pantoja. Joshua Van only let me down with Charles Johnson, and he barely let me down. I'm picking Joshua Van. I hope Joshua Van wins. I like Pantoja a lot. I would like to see the success story from him. I'm picking Joshua Van. I will be betting on Joshua Van. I'm not confident that he's going to get the job done, but I can trust him to go in there, train, and fight for my money. Joshua Van's going to be my pick. I think he's going to get the upset. Even if I didn't have that rule, though, I'd probably pick Joshua Van. He's just on such a momentum level. He's been improving, and Pantoja's due for an upset. I'm picking Joshua Van to get the job done. Let's see what the odds are over here. Joshua Van sitting at the plus average odds of 186. To be honest with you, I thought he would be a bigger underdog. Alexandre Pantoja sent at minus 234. Over 4.5 at plus money. That's an interesting one. Dude, there is actually so much potential with round lines this time around. It's crazy. Guys, I've been open about it. I'm putting money on Joshua Van regardless of who the opponent is. He's worth it. He'll fight for it. I'm going to hope that he gets a job done. I'm going to pick him to get the job done. Let's talk about this main event. Now, guys, let's move on to the main event. Over here, we have the rematch between Merab, Dvalishvili, and Petr Yan. Very exciting fight again. An exciting main event to cap off an absolutely incredible card. Let's break both these fighters down. We'll start with Merab, guys. Merab Dvalishvili. He is arguably the greatest fighter of all time as of right now. He is a straight wrestler who weaponizes his pace, his pressure, and his cardio. All this guy does, he walks forward and just looks to break his opponents. He quite literally has the best pressure and cardio in the history of MMA. It's a pace that has never been seen in the octagon before, and by far, he will come in, he will spam takedown after takedown, and does not care how you respond to it. Whether he's on top of you with pressure, or if you get up, and sometimes he'll even just like flat out let you get up so he can just take you down over and over again just to exhaust you with his weight. He is by far the most fit and has the best cardio in UFC history. On top of all this, he's incredibly durable. He has great heart in the octagon, and his stand-up and his power have been improving from fight to fight. It's crazy. Now, I'm going to say the same thing here, guys, as I've been saying with a few other guys in this card. It's been a little bit difficult to talk about. A little bit the same for Jan, to be honest with you, when it comes to the records. He's faced nothing but phenomenal competition, and he's had nothing but shining performances. Honestly, like, the most recent fight that he just had against Corey Sandhagen, it stands out as a little bit even more impressive in my opinion, because Corey really showed up, and more importantly, Corey was finally the first guy to ever be able to handle Merab's cardio and pace. So, Merab in that performance, he showed everybody that he's more than just a gas tank in there. He has a complete well-rounded skill set. His hands have been improving as well. Did I mention that? Sorry if I did mention that. His hands have been improving. But he even almost got a finish in that Corey fight. That's why I brought it up. It's insane. As of right now, I believe him to be the GOAT of the entire sport. He is, and he has been dominating literally the toughest division in combat sports history. And he's been making every fighter legitimately suffer against him. He's 35, going on 36. He's showing absolutely no signs of slowing down, and he is looking to be a record setter here. He's been incredibly active. He's just been taking on top contender after top contender. But similarly, we have Petr Yan. Petr Yan, he is a very complete fighter who excels in the boxing technical department. He is also one of the best, most technical fighters to ever step into the octagon. You'll sometimes hear people, like when they're talking about Petr Yan, they'll describe him as one of the best fighters of all time on paper. He has everything in the striking department. He has technique in all places. He has defense, cardio, durability, heart, experience with the best of the best. He can do it all. I also love Petr Yan's takedown defense in particular. First off, if he gets taken down, he also has groundwork. But he never sacrifices any of his positions. He is very good. He uses low uppercuts to intercept any level changes that have been thrown his way without having to give up his base. He's very unique in that sense. We saw this used excellently against Deiveson Figueiredo. Even if he misses the uppercuts or doesn't do much to hurt his opponents, he can effectively turn that shot into an underhook, which makes things easier to stop the takedown attempt. And I wonder if he's going to be able to improve that from Merab. Petr, to this day, he's still evolving and still one of the best fighters to ever grace the cage. Now, since his first loss to Merab, of course, which we'll talk about, it's been more of the same. Like I mentioned with Merab, I'm going to say the same thing pretty well. He comes in, he does what he does, and he just has incredible performances against top-level competition. He is also one of the best bantamweights to ever do it. Petr Yan is still in his prime at 32, going on 33 years old, and he's looking to regain his title in a well-deserved title fight. He's been good. This is a true championship match, guys. But as for their first fight, elephant in the room. Petr Yan has spoke about how he had an injury in this fight. With these things, you really never know what to believe. I tend to believe it more than I don't, but I'm not overly convinced, and we won't be able to exactly see until we see Yan come in and really kind of start firing off of Merab, showing that he actually is a different person in the cage. But in their first fight, Merab came in and he spammed takedown after takedown over and over again, just gassing Petr out and coasting his way to decision. Will it go differently this time? It could, but like Petr, man, Merab has been improving from fight to fight, and this is why it is so exciting, because both guys have gone on since their first bout, and they've done their own special things, man. It's looked good. I'm so excited for this bout. But the problem is, my takeaway from the Corey Sandhagen fight with Merab Dvalishvili was, I don't know who the hell's going to beat him. Corey was the best chance. Corey was the guy to match his cardio, and that wasn't even enough. Petr Yan is the better fighter, but Merab's pace and Merab's pressure and Merab's takedowns is something that nobody else can compete against. I gotta pick Merab Dvalishvili to continue winning until I see him in a fight where it's oh, Merab's starting to slow down with the age over here. We haven't seen that. Not even close. He's just been getting better. I'm gonna pick Merab Dvalishvili. I don't want to say the same thing as with Corey Sandhagen, but Petr Yan is the next best guy to beat him. Petr Yan, I believe, is technically a better fighter. But especially after the first fight, and I don't know if Petr Yan was even injured in that fight. That's just sometimes something that people say. I hope I'm wrong again. I hope Petr Yan gets the job done. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I like Merab too, but I want Petr Yan to get that title back. He's put in the work and he deserves it, man. Like I was talking about Alexandre Pantoja, though, Merab's also due for an upset. I'm curious if Petr Yan's takedown defense is going to shine here, because again, it did look like it's been improving over time. It's just probably not going to be enough to, hey, I'm Merab, takedown, 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 chain wrestling, He's just going to do it again. I'm picking Merab Dvalishvili. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't see anybody beating him until he ends up slowing down, like due to age or something like that. Let's take a look at the odds over here. And of course, Merab Dvalishvili sitting at a minus 488 favorite right here. Understandable. The guy is the guy is right now the go to the sport. Over 4.5 at minus 250. Yeah, that's definitely going to go to the distance. These guys are going to have a hard-fought battle. I am so excited for this fight, and I am so excited for this card. The betting guide, guys, will be out tomorrow. Depending on what day you're watching this video, it might already be up. And in the meantime, why don't you check out this video on screen. YouTube thinks that you'll like it the best. I'd love to have you over there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, everybody.